Hell yeah.
Classes in session, this is the show where knowledge is profit, just so you know. Army Piper, OC Guy, and TradeFly, bringing crypto news to the whole alumni. It's the word on the market, the one-stop shop for the info you'll need every time that it drops. The go-to show that you need right now. This is Piper Academy, it's all going down, let's go.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Piper Academy. We got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about Biden's new tax proposal for capital gains, 44% taxation rate, and 25% taxation rate on unrealized capital gains. We're going to be looking at that, find out the truth on that whole bill. Also, GDP data coming in, but we're getting two pieces of GDP data, and they're telling a very ominous story. You're going to want to stick around for that. And then on top of that, guys, the markets are pulling back, and we've got, hey, a typical day of Bitcoin. Let's jump into it, guys. Class is in session. Let's get it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Piper Academy. I'm Army Piper, the host here of the show. We come at you every Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys the news, the charts, the markets, and everything you need to have knowledge, because knowledge is profit. But I don't do the show by myself. I got great co-host here with me every day, helping me get through all this data so that you guys can get all of this info. Let's go ahead and bring them up. It's the TradeFly. It's the OC guy. I had that backwards. It's the OC guy. It's the TradeFly. What's up,
What's
fellas?
going on, guys? How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, living life in a typical Bitcoin day, just that's all it is.
Yeah, you see, I got my hater blockers on right now. We're about to get all kinds of bad news, so I need to block that S out. But yeah, I'm ready to get this party started. I got some sleep last night, so you can see I'm in a lot better mood. So let's get going. Let's party.
Get the air horn for getting sleep. I love it.
Right.
OC, what's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Not much. Just looking at a couple of news here, and it seems like also the quick rundown. You have a couple of very, very important data that you have going on. Other than that, doing amazing. Getting ready to make my coffee right after the show, because today I just woke up a little bit late. But yeah, other than that, let's roll it.
Get your legendary aviation coffee, man. Let's get into this data, guys. We're going to go ahead and jump into the news. I'm going to break down some stuff for you guys. Then we're going to come back, recap what happened with the GDP, and then we'll go into that. So let's jump over there. Let's do that, guys. Today's show, our daily news, as always, brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Let's jump over here. Let's get it. All right. So fear and greed index right now, guys, coming in at 72. I am pretty sure with the pullback yesterday, give this till tomorrow, this is going to drop even more. We're probably going to be, I'm going to guess down in about 66, 67 if we do not get a turnaround on the markets today. Let's go ahead and jump into the crypto bubbles. You can see here on the daily, we are red right now, a sea of red on the daily, but we're still a little bit green for the week because we had that early week move. Let's jump down here and see what's going on the market cap here. Looks like Bitcoin sitting right now about 63,000, down 4.9% for the day. We got Ethereum down 5% right there. Let's see. Anybody really have anything big or move in a major way? Tron up 1.3% for the day. It has moved up one spot to number 13 there. Polkadot taking a little drop down, dipping it down there to 14, down one spot there. No real big movers here on the market cap. Kronos is up, which if you don't know, I think that is the crypto.com coin. It is up two spots there to number 30. So Stellar, I did see something on Stellar. They are up 31 to position 31. They are up two positions, and then Cosmos Atom up 4 spots to number 32. So, but overall though, guys, pretty much down for the day. Hedera down 12.8% on the news that there was no commercial connection to BlackRock. So let's get into the liquidations here. Take a look at what we're seeing over here. On these liquidations for the past 24 hours, there were 96,783 liquidations. Total liquidations coming in at $257 million. Largest single liquidation happened on Binance. for Bitcoin. It was 9.7 million. No big deal. He would be hit though with 44% capital tax gains if he had made profit on that, just so you know. So let's get over here and take a look at economic calendar, guys. This is the big data that just came out today. 1.6 was what actually was released on the GDP growth rate quarter over quarter. You can see here the consensus and forecast was 2.5, 2.3, came in below that. So the growth rate of the GDP has lowered. The GDP price index actually beat expectations of consensus and forecast at 3.1 instead of consensus of 3 and a forecast of 2.9, was previously at 1.7. I know that that looks good because they beat expectations, right? No, it is those two pieces of data together that are telling us some very bad news about the economy. So we're going to get in and break that down over here. Let's jump to the trio cam because you guys just got that little rundown there. Let's talk about this GDP, because what I want to explain to people is that GDP growth rate, that first one there, and let's just I'm going to put this over to where we can bring it up on the screen for news, not my news broadcast, but the actual, this one here, this one right here. This one, yep. GDP growth rate. I want to talk about this first because this GDP growth rate, this is how much the economy grew. This is the strength, the bloodline, the pulse of the American economy. Right now, guys, it's stopped. It's gone what we call stagnant. Okay. This price index, though, this is the deflator. This is how much the goods cost to create that economy. So let's jump back here. We had the economy come down, but the cost of that economy go up. When you have a stagnant economy and rising inflation, you put that together and you get something called stagflation. Stagflation is not a good thing. TradeFly, your thoughts on this? And then I will tell everyone what ChatGPT did for me today, because I actually ran a bunch of these numbers through ChatGPT and said, so tell me there, OpenAI. I put an AI computer to work instead of a person and said, can you tell me what this means? So, and they broke it down pretty good. So TradeFly OC, your thoughts on this whole thing with this economy stuff?
Yeah, man. I mean, just kind of to break it down, right? What is stagflation? And, I think you hit on a couple of the key topics, right? There's high inflation, there's low economic growth. All right. We're seeing both of those, and then high unemployment. I think that third key factor has yet to be hit, but as soon as it does, like, that is where you're going to probably be sounding all the alarms, the bells and whistles. That we're trending, though. Like, we're trending in that direction. And the weird thing is, right, think about what we've been telling you, is that Papa Powell kind of wants that. So he wants that third key factor, which is really kind of insane to think about. But that's probably going to be the nail in the coffin. And I've been saying for a while, I've been kind of confused. Why is the S&P 500 so high? Why is the NASDAQ so high? Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me. But now that we're high on Bitcoin, we're high on S&P, we're high on all of that, right? So it kind of makes sense to start getting these FUD articles and these FUD, I don't even know this is really FUD, to be honest. This is just the state of our economy. But I think it's time for a little bit of a cool off. I think it's time for a little bit of a pullback. It's natural. There's waves. So yeah, Lunar Beaches, crypto, baby, riding the waves.
That's right.
I just
shout out to LBC.
And bearish me, and I got my $88,000 prediction here. So you can just kind of holding on tight. I gotta hope that my prediction plays out so I can say I told you so.
Yeah. You and your I told you so's. OC, you have any thoughts on this with stagflation and what that actually means for everyone's investments and everyone's wallets, everyone's household incomes? Like, what do you think about stagflation? And what have you seen down there in Mexico? I'd love to hear that.
Well, we've been seeing in Mexico, we've been having, we have had some horror stories. Yesterday, in fact, we were talking about with Crux of Crypto and the Piper Academy, how we went from the old pesos to a new peso. So basically, remember that we have that kind of like a wipeout, right? And I mean that is because we had too many zeros, and then we went from having like just for example, one burrito costing 100 pesos, and then to the next day, if you use the new coin, right, with the new peso, one burrito then costed 1 peso. So it was kind of like a terrifying on those areas. But yeah, I mean that's exactly when my family started getting a little bit gold to hedge against whatever could be happening on the economy. But I mean this stagflation, it is just I don't know. I don't think that we're gonna be seeing right now, a major event, and that's because the U.S. government will be handling as best as their possibilities. Remember what TradeFly was mentioning, I believe, yesterday, that how they hold their news and then they change and just to avoid, like that FOMO into the market, because one goes after the other and makes a vicious cycle, right? So far I believe that we have time to prepare, and I say time because you need to prepare like as fast as possible. And guys, do not make the mistake to believe that, for example, Bitcoin is going to save you from the dump. When the dump happens or when the crash happens, everything is coming down. What I do believe is that Bitcoin is going to recuperate itself, is going to get back to better zones faster than fiat or faster than regular economy. But again, I mean, do not go and just hedge yourself with leverage Bitcoin when the economy start going back down.
Yep.
Because for me, Bitcoin at this point is being backed up by fiat. So we are in the same circle.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great input from both of you. Let's jump over here and talk about what Kabisi Letter said, because he broke it down really, really well. For those who do not understand what just happened, first, Q1 2024 GDP growth rate slowed to just 1.6%, which is less than half of the 3.4% that we had in Q4 2023. This reading is roughly 50% below Goldman Sachs' expectations that they called for, but it gets even worse. At the same time, the U.S. core PCE price index soared from 2% to a staggering 3.7%. That's a 1.7% increase there on the core PCE price. So this crushed estimates of 3.4% and further suggests that inflation is on the rise. So we have a weakening economy with rising inflation. It's the worst possible outcome for the Fed. And if you go down here, he says, what does the Fed do with inflation when it's rising like this, but the economy is weakening? If you cut rates, inflation will skyrocket. If you raise rates, economy will crash. Not exactly the definition of a soft landing. So yeah, this is the case. And at the end of the day, guys, it all comes down to this. Investing in crypto, investing in stocks, investing in anything is like, let's take it from a scenario where, I don't know, we'll do it like this. TradeFly is starting at the bottom with his investments. He's got, look, I have nothing for the future saved. I have nothing built up. I've got to start this. It is like having the team that had all of the losing draft picks years ago and has not gotten to the winning team yet to move its way through the Super Bowl and playoffs, right? So
Sounds like
what
my
he has to
Washington
start
Commanders.
doing, what he has to start doing is he has to start seasons back. And that is what Bitcoin is. It runs in seasons, okay? So he's got to build up for seasons. He may make moves this year that will not get him to the Super Bowl this year, but the moves that he makes this year puts together a foundation for next year, the year after that. And that is what investing is. Nothing is going to get you rich. Nothing is going to get you to the Super Bowl this playoff, this season. Yeah, other ones out there that, you might get this onesie twosie thing. Sure. Indianapolis Colts won a Super Bowl once. But at the end of the day, if you're making your plans and you're riding this economic wave at the same time you're riding these 4-year cycle waves, you can take opportunity of those moments that build your team, build your portfolio with star players for the Super Bowl, either next season, the season after that. Right now, look at this as a micro season. We are running into some bad economic data. We're getting these pullbacks. These are the opportunities to pick up those key players at the best price possible to build your team up for what's coming ahead. And that's what I got to put out there. TradeFly OC, any final words on this topic before we get off of GDP? Because it is bad, but silver lining, there's always opportunity. TradeFly, what you got?
And Piper said, that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'll roll with your analogy, man. I'll double down on it. So, yeah, bro, we just made the playoffs. We set an all-time high, but we lost in the playoffs. But we're going to come back. We're going to come back stronger, and we're going to set a new all-time high eventually. So I think that's where Piper's going. And I dig it. I like his conviction. But hey, let's say what's up to some people in the chat, man. I see a couple people in here.
Give those people some love. What's up?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's my alumni. You know what I mean?
There it is. All right, what's up, username? What's up, Michael Mitchell Warrior 4588? He's my pilot guy, so I like you. What's up, dude? Rigo Zabolix, man, dude, that's a crazy one. That's hard for me to say. Heart, what's up? Wild Deuces, Crux of Crypto sitting in the background. I'm messing with him, saying he got replaced by OpenAI. Sorry, bro, you're out of job. Justin Eubanks, how you doing? Let's see. I got Mr. J. He's always in the house. Trade Intuition, our man Joe. How you doing? He's our hype man. We needed you, dude, in the chat yesterday. It was a little bit big.
Hype man.
We needed you to hype it up. We need you to hype it up. Throwing through Alexander G, the best mod in the house. How you doing? Blackie Chan, Eric Wallen, my man, Ada Ace. How you doing? And I think that's about it.
Justin Eubanks, did you say him?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
What's up, Justin? And then the Montreal Mesa.
Nailed it.
There you go.
Nailed it. I love it. Nailed it.
Okay, I did not nail it. We let OC do those names, man. He'll probably just crush them. So.
All right, let's jump over and take a look at Bitcoin, see what's going on here. And then we're going to get into a breakdown here in a little while on that Biden tax bill. What does it mean for you? I got a hint for you. Probably nothing, Mr. J. Talking to you. Let's jump into this chart here. Let's get into Bitcoin. You guys can see here, we had this rejection on the point of control. It's been this area I said was resistance. Well, it was our little area of support that we had here. We were trading right here above this dynamic reactor, and we were sitting above the 236. And I said this would be key area for us to hold. If we don't hold this, Geronimo. And guys, we broke it yesterday with that news that came out on that tax data and some other stuff. It was just a bad market day yesterday in general. S&P selling off massively yesterday. Take a look at where we're at right now. We're currently sitting at about 63,350. We do have, and because we got rejected on that point of control, where do we typically go? Value area low. That value area low is sitting right now at 61,778. If that range does not hold, guys, on that value area low, we are very possibly and very likely looking at a retest on the bottom of this channel. We've been following this for a hot minute here on the show, and it has played out perfectly at the last touches there, wicked to the dollar onto that line. I'm going to be watching for that. If we give it a couple of candlesticks out here and come down, it's looking like right about $59,000. I do want to remind everyone, I still think, and I've been saying this for a hot minute, I still think that we're coming to $56,000 for a retest on top of the platinum pocket here. This is a horizontal platinum pocket going from the all-time high last cycle to the market bottom. That platinum pocket, the top of my phase 3 block here, that phase 3 block, I do believe will be our support range, and $56,000 is what I'm looking at there. Still in play. I still think we're going to go down to get that, and that is one of those star player draft picks that you can pick up right there, 56K on Bitcoin. So let's kick it over to TradeFly. I know he's got that heat map up and going, so let's get over there and check that out and see what we're looking at on there.
I do, man, and this one's hard to watch, right? So we did talk about the liquidity that's sitting down here. I always talk about the alligator closer to the boat. Well, that got cleared out, and that got cleared out pretty quick yesterday. I mean, as soon as we got to the end of the show, it started dumping. This one's hard to look at, though, and the reason it is because you can see that people started to go long, expecting to get a bounce, got wiped out. People that went long again, expecting a bounce, they got wiped out. And now you can see this is pretty much they've given up, right? But if you come over to the charts, the one thing I want you to look at is that we have formed a pretty good range here. All right, you got the volume area low, you got the volume area high, point of control, which played out perfectly for the rejection. You had all kinds of junk in here. You guys know when I see a lot of confluence there, I get a little nervous and I kind of look for a rejection when you have everything lining up. And like I said, like it's either an exit point or a no zone. Wait for it to come up, retest, yada yada yada. But we got a rejection. That's kind of expected. Now we're down at the volume area low. So right, this would be the area, and this is what I always say: let it come to you. Stop trying to do these little intermediate plays where you're like, oh, the market pulled back 2-3%. Let me jump in. Stop that. All right, wait, let it come to you, and then you play an area that's consistently showing you support, which was the volume area low. So you got a little bounce there, and that would have been a nice little play, like for, you know, a small percentage, a little bit of leverage. Here's the thing though, this is short stuff. This is scalping. Okay, this is not where we say let's go long and let's just full send. Okay, and the reason I say that is because now we're tying in everything else that we're giving you today, right? We're giving you all the news, and now you're coming and you're looking and prime score is 1. Prophecy is saying market dump. You know, you're just now getting an indication saying that we're getting a market reversal, and you can see it is starting to bend. So is this an opportunity? Yeah, it's an opportunity, but this is one of those high risk opportunities. Okay, these are your plays right here. When you start getting in this divergence, you see price action coming down, and you're coming down to a significant area of support, right? I told you this line right here goes all the way back to the first all-time high where there was resistance. This right here, we found support because it was previous support. It's easy to go back and look. So you have 2 things lining up for you. That's your opportunity, right? So again, scalping area, this is more of like, hey, this is a long play. Obviously, we're always setting stop losses underneath of it, but this is the area that I would be looking at and hoping that the market is starting to turn around. Let's hope for a little bit of good news on the backside of all the bad news, so that we can get a little bit of a bounce. So that's pretty quick, but that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin, and I will turn it over to OC.
I do want to point out that yesterday the prophecy indicator told us more dump, and that is all we've done since it popped. Since that fired off more dump, that is all we have done is dump. The day prior, when it said more pump, it was green all day long, and we continued up. Yep. So far, the new prophecy indicator from Chart Prime is fire. So
I'm intrigued. I am too.
I am too. The devs over there put in some overtime on that thing, man.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Let's jump over to OC's chart and see what he's got.
I'm sorry. I think the devs there, they just kill a cow or something and offer it to the dark lords of crypto. So yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, let's take a look at what we got here. So basically we were looking for this huge range that I've been talking about forever, and then we went to my resistance area. We could see a ton of resistance. Remember I was telling you that when we had that little pump here, I was saying, well, the pump, I don't believe that it's going to be so long lasting because we have a big resistance in here, and we did not have the characteristics of a breakout through the dynamic reactor. Remember, the dynamic reactor, I'm looking for or to have big body candles while breaking through the dynamic reactor to have a confirmed breakout. We did not have that. It was very shy, right? And then we start forming a couple of bearish divergence, reversals, and then look at that. This is what I was expecting. It went back down to my first area here. And did I enter? Of course not, because we don't have FOR. Worse than that, if you're expecting to enter, I mean, just consider that right here we could be forming a inverted goose head, and that inverted goose head, it usually leads to further downside. All right, so not only that, we're not pointing sideways or downwards in the inverted goose head, I mean, not upwards, we're pointing sideways, which gives it a little bit more of that goosey flavor, of a bearish goosey flavor. So what's the next thing looking for? My next area of concentration of support right down here at where all of my indicators start lining down here. So you can see right here where I have the circle, that's where I start seeing smart money playing out, and also I start seeing those trend lines getting bunched together, and also my predictive ranges, as you can see. So that's when I start seeing bunch up information, and I'll be just a little bit careful with the next FOR and that on support, and that's where I'll be planning for my entry. Really quick before we move on and try it back to Piper. Remember on 2023, what was it? 2022. Well, Wells Fargo, MasterCard, they started 12 weeks CBDC. Well, now that we see an economy not playing that good, look at who's going wholesale with CBDC trials. Stablecoins. So we have the Euro payments roadmap on South Africa. Just saying. I mean, things are not looking good. It seems like the trial territories are not that great. So other than that, turning it back to you, Piper.
Appreciate it, man. So let's jump over here and address a couple of questions in here. It was Wild Deuces. He said, okay, so I'm not allowed on my exchange to leverage trade. What should be my play by the bottom price I believe is in and hope? Not financial advice, just so you know. Let me come over here and point that out. Not financial advice right there. But you don't have to YOLO in. You don't have to ape in on the first bottom that you think is in. You can go in. If it was me, I would never, ever be without dry powder. I like to have dry powder. If I had $1,000, I'm not dropping $1,000 in on what I think is the bottom. I'm going to probably do like $250, or maybe even 200. If it goes down further, drop another 200 or maybe 225 and increase that amount as it goes down, so that if at the bottom I've got a higher weighted amount that I put in, and then from there it's just a matter of making profit, because now you've averaged in your entry even lower. So that's the way. That's my way of playing that. Not financial advice. I just wanted to answer that question there. Let's go ahead and jump into some other charts here real fast. Let's get one round of some alt charts, and then I want to talk about this tax bill, because I don't think people. I think people are hearing a lot of noise and not actual information coming out of this. Is it bad? Sure. Is it bad for us? Most likely not. We're going to take a look at that. Let's jump in and TradeFly, what do you got up for us? Do you got a chart that you want to show?
Yeah, I just pulled up Ethereum. So again, I was slacking. So we're going to do this live together. So taking a look at Ethereum, I haven't looked at this in quite some time. But I am seeing volume area high, volume area low. So that is lining up. You see there was resistance there. But really what we're flirting with right now is this volume area low. So it looks like it wanted to get back into the range, but now it's kind of struggling, right? So it got rejected off the money flow point of control. It looks like the dynamic reactors, a lot of confluence. Kind of similar to Bitcoin, right? There's a lot of confluence with some of the indicators, the moving averages, providing that area of resistance. We did get rejected. It did have an overbought situation. This does look slightly different on the oscillator, right? We've already seen that trend where it started to bend up for Bitcoin, not so much for Ethereum. So that means to me that there's a potential for a little bit more downside, right? So this was a beautiful setup, and that looks pretty similar to Bitcoin as well. You got down to the golden pocket, you saw the divergence, you saw the oscillator going up and right. Unfortunately, this one is not going to be as clear cut, but yeah, man, it's personal opinion here. I think that we're going to come down and retouch this area where the golden pocket is. I'm just, taking a swag here, seeing what I'm seeing, because we're on the bottom side of everything. We've pretty much already said, hey, we got rejected. We came up, we retested this area where there's a lot of confluence. And then now I think you're going to see a little continuation down and right. Just personal opinion. Everything's kind of lining up. Prime score looks ugly. Prophecy looks ugly. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I would say 28.98 to 28.36. There's obviously going to be a little bit of a range. I think there's a high likelihood that we come back and revisit that area. Now, if everything turns around and all of a sudden something comes out bullish and bonkers, where can we go? Well, I think it's going to be tough to break through this area. But if we do break through that area, I don't see there being any issue. I mean, there's obviously little intermediate areas of resistance in here, but let's go ahead and extend this trend line, right? This trend line has obviously been important because you can see where it was both support and it was resistance. And this didn't quite line up, but it got pretty darn close. And that lines up with the 382. So I think high side, if the market turns 33.60 is going to be your high side target. And then just to reiterate, golden pocket, again, we're kind of in the middle, right? So you know how I like to play the game. Once we're in the middle, it's kind of like a no-no zone. I don't really flirt with it. I will say my bias is down. if you're looking for short-term stuff, and then revisit this area, the golden pocket. So that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Let's jump over to OC and see what you got, bro.
Absolutely. We were talking about WMT. I always confused with Walmart, but yeah, I got it right here. Not Walmart today. I know you guys don't care about Walmart. It was. All right. No, for real. I mean, that wasn't intended to be a joke. I honestly always confused with Walmart. All right. Let's take a look at what we got in here. So we have a little triangle here, symmetrical triangle. As you can see, we are right at the vertex of breaking it, but also we can be taking a look at maybe trying to skip this huge week and then going with this other more normal weeks. And as you can see, we have a little bit more of space. Whatever that happened, let's see how can we debug it. First of all, yes, we see market dumping here. We're breaking to the zero line, but and differently from the rest of the coins, we're coming from the top above the dynamic reactor, right? We are breaking to a zero line, but we are not there yet on the big support on the dynamic reactor, which means, and let's take a look at what has happened before, which means, look at that, breaking through the zero line. Where do we exactly broke through? Let's just measure that one right there. And as you can see, it's almost acting at the same spot. Well, then we went back down here. We made a bullish divergence. We went to find the dynamic reactor and then beautiful bounce, right? It was a very fast bounce, and then we roll over and move a little bit lower here, right? So just be careful because this could be playing out the same way. I remember that we have this triangle, so going maybe at the bottom of in here, it could be a good opportunity to jump as we are hitting the dynamic reactor. Let's just dive a little bit deeper within this theory and see if we have the means to back it up. So for example, right here, we have too many lines, so I will be skipping a little bit this area, but also just taking a knowledge where those lines are. So let's go with something else, like for example, support and resistance. So look at where do I have double support, right? Well, then next I have a liquidity area here and another liquidity area here. So let's just mark them. Then let's go to the next one. Look at where do I have a loud order block, and not only that, also re-supported with a high order block. All right, let's go to the next one. And as you can see, we have a fair value gap in here and an equilibrium zone right down here. All right, so I think you guys see where things are coming. Not only that, we have a order blocking here with the order block bar magnifier. And just to wrap it up, well, that's it. So where is all the mess out or up, right? I would certainly say that it's here, right? And then overextended to here. So as you can see, this played out. It is almost a is being called at this point, right? Just be careful. Remember always to use a stop loss entry zone somewhere around 0.32 with the flip of the ribbon. We're going to flip the ribbon at support. And then also remember to use your stop loss because Bitcoin might be just overextending lower that we could be expecting. So other than that, turn it back to you guys.
Awesome. Let's jump over here. Let's talk about this Biden bill. So I took the 256-page tax proposal. It's been all over Twitter. It's been on X, and people talking about capital gains tax proposal of 44.6%, 25% tax rate, taxation on unrealized profits. If you guys don't understand what realized profits versus unrealized is, if you had if you were up $20,000 profit on your crypto investment and you sell it, you have $20,000 in realized profit. If you held it and you're at your $100,000 investment is at $120,000 total, and you still haven't sold, you're hodling, you're diamond hands. Unrealized profit is $20,000. You have not realized your gains yet. So how would they tax that? And I'm going to tell you, I put that 256-page bill, dropped it into ChatGPT-4 and said, give me a summary of this. Give me the so what. I want this in layman's terms. Kept asking it some more questions, and finally it aggregated all of this data for me. So bottom line is, let's jump over here to this news article. because this actual article came in right in line with what the breakdown of the bill from ChatGPT was for me. Biden's 44.6% capital gains tax proposal is likely a nothing burger. His move to introduce a 44.6% federal gains tax probably would not affect most people in crypto. So the first one, let's break that down first. 99.9% of people, it's a big fat nothing burger because it's essentially just a proposal. First of all, it's got to go through voting. Okay. Secondly, that 44.6% is actually only like a 1.6% increase or 1.2. Yeah. It's 1.2% increase on top of the 3.9. And how this math works. It's a long thing, but really what it breaks down to is this. If you are going to get hit with that top rate, two things have to take place. One, your gains on your crypto or your investment, whatever it is, your capital gains on that investment has to be greater than $400,000. That's one. Is that possible in crypto? If you played your games right and you played those seasons like we were talking about earlier, absolutely. The other factor that has to be present for that, where most people are not going to get touched, is you have to have an income, taxable income of over $1 million a year. And I would say that 99.9% of everybody that is in earshot of even clicking on a recommendation for this video, which would help if you guys share it, by the way, will find out that they do not, it doesn't apply to them on that front. So there's that one. The unrealized capital gains is not actually 25, it's 20. And that is very likely going to be cut out of this bill, for this budget bill, because it would greatly affect a lot of politicians, just so you guys know. Also, the fact is that you have to have two factors on that. Here they are. An income, taxable income of over $100 million a year and have over $100 million invested. That is what you have to do to get hit with that unrealized capital gains tax. The reason they are doing that is a lot of billionaires, because that's literally what this would apply to, is billionaires. A lot of them never ever cash out of anything. They hodl and invest on everything. When they need money, they take a loan out against it, pay zero interest, no capital gains tax, nothing. What this is to do is to make some of them want to sell off and flush out some money and put some gains back into the rest of the tax system, because a lot of them, average billionaire pays 8% tax per year. There you go. So 8%.
Let's add another element too. Add another element, right? Because they're not talking about this for long-term capital gains, are they? This is short-term, correct?
No, this is long-term. This is long-term capital gains.
They're going to increase it from 15 to 44.6 for long-term.
No. That 40, it's 39.6% is what it actually comes out to. There's a bunch of weird math in there, but it's actually a 39.6. It would raise the top ordinary rate here. I got it right here to 39.6%, which is 43.4%, including the net investment income tax. So the total tax rate of investment tax plus income tax would total out to be 43.4% total, which is an increase. Together, the proposal would increase the top marginal rate on long-term capital gains and qualified dividends to a 44.6%. So, yeah,
that kind of sucks, man, for people that are wealthy.
Yeah, but again, those people pay an average of 8% tax per year. And now, mind you, it's not their fault. They're paying the minimum that they have to pay. I would do the same thing. Don't think I didn't tax harvest my losses from previous years. I'd still use that against my taxes this year to pay less. But this will do a little bit of shakeout on those people, those hot top earners. For example, a taxpayer with $1.1 million in taxable income, of which $200,000 is preferential capital income, would have only $100,000 taxed. That's right here. For example, a taxpayer with 1.1 million in taxable income, of which $200,000 is preferential capital tax, would have $100,000 of capital income taxed at the preferential rate because they're $100,000 over that $1 million cap. So it's not the whole thing. And this bill, everyone's blowing this bill way, way, way out of proportion of what it actually is. Will it cause some shakeout, a little bit of volatility in the market? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's still a proposal. And I don't know that a lot of politicians are going to want this to pass, because I think there might be some politicians out there that this would affect. Nancy Pelosi. But yeah. Guys, thoughts on this? I know this is a little bit different than what we saw all over X yesterday, but yeah.
Put on your tinfoil hat, bro. I'm watching something. So we start off the show. All right. We start off with a little bit of bad news, a little bit of FUD. All right. We're at 22 viewers. Then we start with some anti-FUD. All right. We're saying, hey, it ain't as bad as you think it is. And then we go up to 40 viewers. What's going on right now, YouTube? I'm asking the question. Put that hat on, OC. Put it on. There it is. I see. I'm noticing a trend here.
Throw those tinfoil hats down in the chat, guys. OC's in the house.
There it is.
All right. So thoughts on this? Now that we heard a lot of FUD yesterday. This was all over X, and like people in the chat right now, they're like, "Thanks for explaining this," because it was very confusing. At first, I looked at my wife and said, "We may sell everything," and then when I broke it down, I was like, if this applied to me, I would be the most happy person on this damn planet, because that means I've made a shit ton of money, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I agree, dude. And I think it's refreshing. My sentiment is with the chat. You know, somebody finally broke this down and didn't just say, this is terrible, like yada, yada, yada. And the headline is, 44.6, whatever the number was. Somebody took the time to be like, hey, this is how it really breaks down. And that's why you guys watch this show, So that's my easy 2 cents right there.
OC, thoughts on this capital gains? I know it doesn't apply to you down there in Mexico. You got a whole different tax world, but you guys pay like income tax, and then you pay like cartel tax. I'm just joking.
for real. Not to be kidding, Playa del Carmen, which is right in front of Cozumel, now is being hit with cartel tax. So just because if you have like the old mafia, like Al Capone and stuff, that kind of thing. So be careful if you're visiting Playa del Carmen. So just saying. Other than that,
I'm like, I know OC guy, man. Please don't hurt me.
Don't. They're gonna make you suffer first, brother. Yeah. OC guy, no, I don't know that guy. I help kill him if I can. Yeah, I tell you what it is.
All right, so I gave you guys the hopium. Go ahead. You got something?
Oh no, go ahead.
All right, I gave you guys some hopium. I gotta rain on the parade a little bit now, since you just went over Ethereum, and then we'll get into these altcoins. Zach has got the list up there. It looks like ICP, VELO, what is it? VELO and ICP. So if you guys want to pull up one of those each, I'm going to go through this article real fast talking about Ethereum. Guys, SEC is likely to reject that Ethereum spot ETF application, according to insiders. SEC spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, ETFs, got the green light, but spot Ethereum ETFs might hit the red light. According to a Reuters report published today, sources familiar with recent talks between the ETF issuers and the SEC suggest that the agency is likely to reject spot Ethereum ETFs next month in their review. The SEC's decision on VanEck and ARK's filings are due May 23rd and May 24th, respectively. But unlike the discussions that preceded the approval of the Bitcoin ETF, recent talks have lacked substance, and the SEC staff is not engaging in detailed conversation about the proposed Ethereum ETF. Sources also noted that despite the ETF issuers' arguments that the approved spot Bitcoin ETF and the Ethereum futures-based ETFs have set a precedent, the SEC is silent on specific concerns, and this suggests that there's likely a rejection coming. According to the SEC record and sources familiar with the matter, the SEC has not had many meetings regarding a review of the ETF for Ethereum. The only one that they've had so far was regarding Grayscale's bid to turn its Ethereum trust into an ETF, and that was a meeting with Coinbase. Because Coinbase is going to be the custodian for this. If the SEC were to reject Ethereum's ETFs, applicants anticipate the reason would likely be a broader issue, such as concerns about the quality and the depth of the market data. Bottom line is, it doesn't have that long of a history, and I think that is what is concerning the SEC. So probably will not see an ETF next month on Ethereum. So take that for what it's worth. Let's go ahead and jump into some charts here, guys. We've got about 16 minutes to run through some alts. We had a lot of news to unpack today. So let's go ahead, kick it over to TradeFly, see what you got there, and then we'll jump over to OC.
Cool. Yeah, I got ICP up on the daily. All right. So haven't looked at ICP too much over the past week or so. I was pretty bullish on it a couple weeks ago. But what I'm looking at is long term. I say it's a bullish trend, right? We wicked down underneath it. Let's extend this line. Right? This is why I love trend lines. This line stopped right here, and you can see where did it come down to? Well, it stayed pretty much on that trend line. You had a wick, but no closes underneath of it on the daily at least. Let me give you a pitch for Chart Prime right here. If you had this on the daily, you zoomed out. All right, showed you there's a channel here that's kind of going down and right. I think it looks like it's calling it a fallen wedge. Broke out. It gave you the breakout, gave you the retest here. You can see that right there. It's kind of hard to see, but I can see it. There was a retest, and then boom, this thing took off. All right, I had a high side target, 23,194 right here. Just looking at previous support, previous resistance with that retest and breakdown. So that was kind of high side target. Never really made it up. However, we really haven't broken the bullish structure yet. All right, this trend line is support, and it's going up and right. Until it breaks this trend line, I'm not really too scared. Now we're sitting on top of the dynamic reactor right now. We're sitting on top of some of the moving averages, right? It's a little bit different than what you were seeing with some of the other ones. But you know what? Let's go to the 4 hour and see what it looks like here. Yeah, so short term is a little bearish, right? It's pulling back. You can see there was a channel kind of coming down and right, and it's flirting with all this, but it's still on top. It's still on top of the take that back. It's on the bottom side of the dynamic reactor now. It fell pretty sharp there, but got that rejection, and now it looks like it wants to fall back out of this channel. So, you know, a little pullback, wouldn't be surprised, but this is an area you got to keep an eye on. All right. So if it comes straight down, then you're probably looking at something like $11.70. Coming down, looking at the prime score, ugly, prophecy, ugly. However, you are starting to see overbought as well as a reversal on trend. Or sorry, not overbought, but oversold, and a reversal on trend on the 4 hours. So this, man, it's had some sharp moves. Looking at ICP, it's kind of volatile. So I'd say be careful with that. But this would be the area of interest for me at about $11.70 or so. And then it's got to break out of this trend, because right now, you know, it's just setting lower highs, and that, you know, shows downward pressure. Overall trend still bullish though. All right. So it's one of those like back and forth games you play. Short term, this is what I'm looking at. So let me see high side target. Let's go ahead and bring up the chemtrails. We haven't brought those up in a while. Let's see what this is telling us. Go ahead, give me my planes. Let them fly, baby. Let them fly. Let's go. All right. There you go. All right. That's on the 4 hour. There's some areas, and there you go. So that's why I love this, right? So sometimes when you're looking at it live, looking at it, you don't really see it, but then you're like, hey, here's this line. It's got some volume associated with it. So that could be a high side target. And you see that there's support as well as resistance. And then you have a big breakout. Beautiful. All right. So this helped me find a support and a resistance level in this case. So that's one of the reasons I really like this. And I am going to be dropping that video soon. Still got to do some edits. But I did make a video talking about this indicator in particular. Again, it's not a end all be all, but it does help out with some of your analysis sometimes. And then, so again, high side, let's call that about 15 even. And then low side, we're looking at about 11.7. We're on the bottom side of all the resistance. So again, my bias is probably still going to be to the downside for ICP.
Awesome. Let's kick it over to OC and see what you got there, OC.
Absolutely, I got VELO protocol right here. So last time it was requested, we were looking at VELO right down here. And look at that. It almost played out almost exactly. Look at that. It's not about a breakout. It's about a retest. And off we go. Secondary retest. And now look at that. Oh my God. So not only is looking fabulous, guys, this doesn't mean, that it is looking fantastic. Doesn't mean that it cannot be breaking. But it's in one of those areas that, we've been seeing the whole crypto market retracing. And this thing is just like, hey, I'm just chill right here, right up here, and see you all fall, right? So I'll watch you guys all from the top. So as long as we don't lose this area right down here, you see this support that I got going on here, somewhere around 0.019 or 0.02. And also the trend line, which is at the same spot. I think we're pretty much safe. What I'll be looking for, it is the next flip of the ribbon for a further continuation to the upside. Let's just bring up a couple of support areas that I could be having here. As you can see, my trend assistance is very low, but still bullish, so that's good. What is my next big support? Well, it's all the way down here, which means that if we break, we're going to be breaking here. It's not about the breakout. It's about the retest. All right. Maybe that retest could be even going farther up to extend the trend line and the next resistance. And then off we go for a further movement that essentially will be giving us a double top, which means I'll be making a lower movement here and almost a higher movement there, making a triple divergence, and finally for this last movement, a break through the ceiling line. Just be careful because the breakthrough ceiling line could be almost immediate like that, and that means that we could be not going all the way, but reversing early and making a bearish pattern. Remember those my little house right there, so that I usually do like that, and then start making a triangle with a base. We're not there yet, but just acknowledging that this could be something like that. So I'm just going to be changing this color so we can acknowledge it farther ahead. There we go. That's going to be it. Let's just throw in here a little bit of some other support. Look at that. We have right at the same area a soft order block, and look at here that right at the next big support, not only dynamic reactor, but also a high order block. So my analysis kind of like as feels or seems to be backed up by some data. Other than that, we have a fair value gap right here. So just again, this is looking like a good entry zone if we have, or when we have flip of the ribbon, not earlier, because if you do it earlier, you could be getting trapped on a downtrend or a breakout in there. So just be careful with VELO. Looking very good, looking very strong, but still we need to wait for a little bit confirmation before we move on. Other than that, very quick, if you are in Japan buying Bitcoin, congratulations, because right now it seems like Japan Yen just went to zero against Bitcoin, which means your Bitcoin, it is over 9-10 million Japanese what is it? I don't remember.
Yen. Japanese yen. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So other than that, turn it back to you guys.
Awesome. I got BNB up. We had a request for that, and then I'm going to do a real quick pull up on HBAR to show you what's going on over there, because I just saw someone in the chat talking about it. Guys, looking here at BNB, we did get our rejection here at two key levels. One is going to be this top purple line right here. That is the value area high of this entire local range here that we would have been in. On top of that, it's also the platinum pocket 887 coming in at 620 and the 786 coming in at 607. We're currently right now trying to hold a 4-hour candle in that platinum pocket. However, because we got a rejection here on the value area high, we do typically go back to test the point of control. That point of control coming in very close right here on the golden pocket. I would be watching for a bounce somewhere between 586.3 and 584. So we'll just call it 585 right there in the middle. That would be the range of support that I'd be watching for. If you take a look, it does have market dump, but we have a high consolidation score of 8 and a prime score of 6, telling us that there's is still set for continuation on trend to the upside, but we will consolidate here in this range. Again, look for that $585 range there for Binance. Let's jump up here to HBAR, show you guys what just happened on HBAR. And I was a little bit curious about this yesterday when I saw some people talking about the sell-off, and I was like, well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. And I said this yesterday. I was like, there is some people that said they were aware of this, even though it's not a BlackRock thing. Some of those other companies involved in it were aware of the tokenization of real-world assets being done on HBAR. There is some stuff being done behind the scene, just not to the level. It was advertised to the public with some opium articles yesterday on X, or 2 days ago on X. So what I'm watching here is if you take this from this bottom wick to this top wick, we just got our bounce here in the golden pocket. What I'm going to be watching for is if we can get back above the 50% range. If we don't, we reject down, probably going through that and heading back to the platinum pocket. Why? Because that has been a previous range of support, and our 50-week exponential moving average is sitting down there with that 887. But it's going to all depend on this 50. This 50% is going to be the key line that we need to watch. One thing that I will point out, we are coming in on the Oscillator Pro on that zero line. You can see the last time we hit that zero line led to this. Then all that news came out, gave it a big bounce, ironically, at the same time. But right now, we are getting some smaller candles here, and it looks like we're starting to get a rounding on RSI Prime. That has given us this move up. Just watch closely, guys. That 50, that range coming in right now, 12.6 cents there on HBAR for that possible rejection point. If we get above that, then I would say that this is not going to get that big pullback that we're seeing right now. So let's go and jump over. Does anybody have anything pulled up? You're muted, bro. You're muted.
That's unfortunate. I got a Soul Train pulled up, and
okay, cool.
Then I got a SQQQ pulled up.
We're making faster. We got 5 minutes, so
I'll keep it quick. Cool. Hit the golden pocket. Got a bounce. Everything lined up. We talked about the oscillators here. You want to see those green lines, shows divergence. Got that bounce. See this orange line here? That probably would have been my out had I played that one. However, we did push up a little bit higher to do the 0.382. This is obviously marked pretty well. We got the bounce of the golden pocket. We got the rejection at the 0.382 at about 159, and it has been down and right since it has gotten up there, right? It just kind of coincides with the market sentiment, everything that's going on, total crypto, whatever. It's all pulling back. So what are we looking for? Like, where can we find a bounce, right? Because right now you got the 0.5. That could be an area of support, which does line up with the Bitcoin finding some support at the volume area low. So you could find a little bit of support here. However, just looking at it, looking at the trend of, the overall trend, kind of on a shorter time frame, you can see it is still kind of bearish, right? And we're getting on the bottom side of all the moving averages. You guys know I don't really care for that too much. When you're on the bottom side of everything, my bias is still going to be to the downside. But what you could find is that you could see that the prime oscillator starts going up and right, and then you see something like this. All right, that's kind of what I would be looking for. And then what you would set here is a higher low. All right, that's if it comes down to the volume area low and finds some support in that area. That would be a target area at about 134. And then obviously if we come back to the golden pocket, as well as there's a horizontal level of support that all lines up, this would be my better target area. Like if we pull back to this, I would be a lot more interested. However, if it's a strong pullback, given the news, the sentiment, the total, macroeconomic market, yada, 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 then be careful. Okay. And again, if you're playing any of these support levels, make sure you're using a stop loss. But high side target, I would say, is point of control, right? You saw there was reaction out of that. And I say high side, and it's only because everything's pulling back, that if it has a nice little push up, you got all this resistance here at about the point of control at about 151. And then again, 129 to 124 is probably your primo area if you're looking for a long entry on Sol. So I'll keep that quick. And then I want to show you this chart prime. Just another reason you guys should really look at it. We're looking at this, looking at a short QQQQ. All right, that's how you can short the NASDAQ. So if we start pulling back, the market looks terrible, and we keep getting bad news, there's opportunities for you to play the market both ways. I just want you to see that. You can short the NASDAQ. It's out there. You're looking for SQQQ. And had you had chart prime here, you saw it gave you the breakout. And this is actually take profit 2 that it hit. You can see that played out beautifully. So that's about an 18% move when I measured it out just wanted to point that out to you guys, just in case you do like to do some intraday stuff and you like to play the market both ways. That's kind of what I like to do. But that's it. Short plug. There you go. On to the next.
All right, here's your hopium for the day, guys. This is the Dixie. The Dixie. Here we go. This is your hopium for the day. You can see here that what's that?
Dixie picks, please.
You can see that we did have this pullback here off of this trend line. We were bouncing off of this for quite a while. I actually had to extend these lines. If I go in here and I hit this extend right off, this is where we were talking about before. When I came here this morning, I just clicked the extend line and saw that we hit it all through here perfectly. So this trend line still being respected. Here's your hopium, guys. If I go over here and I turn on this other trend line, we just touched on it, but we are getting a pullback now. And when you have economic data that came out like we had today on the U.S. economy, but we see other things going on out there like the Japanese yen right now getting some strength, we could see the Dixie pull back. This is a bearish pattern right here. We typically will break out of this to the downside. If we do that, this will be that opportunity for the Dixie to cool off while other currencies out there are strengthening. That may give a little bit of hope to the investment world to go risk on again, because in comparison to their weakening dollar, there are some other things that may be getting in there for them to make some money on. There's your little dose of hopium that I wanted to give you guys there. Watching closely for that trend line to get broken on the Dixie. It may not be today, but I do think that we will see a little bit of upside rebounds today for the scalp traders out there. Don't get too hung up on that rebound that we may see today on some of these assets, because I do believe that we have more sell-off coming overnight and in the morning, because tomorrow we've got that big economic data coming in tomorrow, guys. Actually, I want to show you how close we are here real fast before we go. Tomorrow, we've got PCEs, the number one thing that the Fed looks at for rate cuts. As of right now, is supposed to be neutral. If this comes in below, we are going to see some blood in the streets. Secondly, next week, guys, next week, Wednesday, is Fed interest rate decision again. So we've got tomorrow pushing into next week, where we're probably going to see, I'm going to guess, a rate pause. We're not going to do anything with rates go up or down, but I think that speech with Jerome Powell right afterwards, because of this economic data, I think he's going to have some very hawkish things to say, and that is going to scare a lot of the investment world. So be very careful. I do believe we still have more downside. Again, Bitcoin 56K, I still think is in play. Been saying this for 2 weeks. I'm not a crypto savvy, but I am a realist. So there we go. TradeFly OC, what do you got for the people on the way out, man?
Yeah, man. So two things. Keep an eye on those unemployment numbers. All right. Those are going to be important. And then the other thing is Kabisi, he just released something on Twitter as well, saying there is now a 1% chance of a rate deduction,
rate cut,
lower rate cut. There you go. It was there. It was there.
It's there.
In my mind. It was there.
That close.
Hey, great mixing up with you guys. YouTube, thank you for censoring our show. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to hit those likes and subscribe. Hey. We're here bringing the alpha every day and loving it. So if you guys want to show a little love back, go ahead, give us a little like, and I would appreciate that. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, share it with a friend. Sharing is caring.
Yeah. Share. There you go. Don't waste it. Let me taste it. Don't hide it. Divide it. Don't be greedy. Feed the needy. All right, let's go.
What you got, OC?
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Special shout out to MJ. She is right here on the chat. She just sent me a picture that she's watching us. So thank you, honey. She is my fiance, by the way. Also, guys, share and spread the love. Hit that like button, because if you hit that like button, guess what? Somebody today is gonna be sending you a high five. So there you go. High five. Click that like button. Already the prediction happened. So go ahead, guys, and thank you so much for joining. Turning it back to you guys.
All right, appreciate you guys.
No,
appreciate you guys. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us today on Piper Academy. We appreciate it. We'll be back here tomorrow morning with all that alpha today that we dropped today. Looking at it tomorrow, seeing if it plays out. I do believe, like I said, small little movement up today, but it is not going to be stayed for very long. There's just, we're fighting an economic up here battle right now, and risk off is the flavor of the week. So, guys, Trade safe. As always, we'll see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys the news, the charts, and the markets, and everything you need to have knowledge, because knowledge is profit. Until then, use a stop loss, please. Thanks.
I don't know what they keep telling me. I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling after wheels fall low. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. TradeFly, get the soul train ready. What a line from OCI, from a Mexican spaghetti. Yo, crunch crypto with a deep dive to project dime. And if you like the visual powered by Chart Prime, then you were part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have step, fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling after wheels fall low. Sound off.
To get with them, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean?
That was awesome, dude!